Ahoy! Today we're talking about a thing that's been brought up in the Smite scene for years, basically since the game came out, and that is Ranked Arena. Now Ranked Arena was a thing in Smite a very long time ago, and then it was eventually removed. And ever since then there have been people asking for Ranked Arena. In today's video I want to talk a little bit about that topic as a whole. I want to talk about the pros and cons of Ranked Arena, as well as HiRez reply to that in general. In that context, I also refer back to an old video by Rainday, who made a video about Ranked Arena in 2016, back when it was called Arena League. Let's begin with Arena's popularity. As you can see here, it is actually the most popular mode by number of matches, or it was 2 years ago. This chart was originally posted by HiRez too, and somebody added the Conquest ranked and Joust ranked bars to the casual bars, so we have a full overview of how many players are in each mode. And you can see that Arena, Joust and Conquest, at least at the time, were very close to each other. What you can also see here is that Conquest has a significantly higher portion of their players in their ranked mode compared to Joust, which is interesting and something we may come back to later in the video. Now, while Arena has the most casual players here right now, we don't know how this would shift with the ranked mode. It could get more players overall, or it could just be that a part of the casual player base moves to ranked and then effectively the casual player base would be smaller. But either way, they're all around the same ballpark. All the three main modes, essentially Arena, Joust and Conquest, are around the same place. So why is it that two of them have a ranked mode and one of them doesn't? For Conquest, this is pretty easy to answer. It's considered the main game mode, it's what the competitive mode is based on, so ranked just comes naturally with that, and that's also to reflect the situation in other MOBAs. With Joust, the answer is not so easy. Joust was actually introduced as a ranked mode later, and it didn't really catch on. For a while, HiRez was toying around with it a little bit and was trying to see if they can do something with it, even hosting one of their splits as ranked Joust games or competitive Joust games instead of Conquest, but even that couldn't take itself too seriously. And while they never openly stated it, I do get the impression sometimes that HiRez even regrets introducing a ranked Joust mode in the first place. The game mode suffers from an incredibly small player base, meaning only at the very highest level will you get remotely competitive games, and you're essentially forced to 3-man queue all the time. You can technically solo queue, but it'll put you in a whole different world of pain. And keep in mind, this is a mode that only requires 3 players in total. Then you could also say, hey, but what about Duel? Duel doesn't even have a casual mode and still gets a ranked mode. This is most certainly by design. I don't think there will ever be a casual Duel mode because the skill gap that could happen there could just end up being way too large. It's already bad enough in ranked as it is, and again, that is down to a very low player base. Duel as a game mode already has the advantage of only requiring 2 players, so matchmaking in comparison is significantly easier than in other game modes, and the system is able to place you much better according to your skill, and still you will face massive matchmaking issues because there are not enough players for this mode. And that pretty much underlines one of the main issues with Arena already. We would have a smaller portion of the player base that would specifically go into Ranked Arena, and you would have to match the game fairly between 2 groups of 5 players, which is currently only happening in Conquest, and it's rough enough there. When asked if they were planning to introduce further game modes in the future, HiRez has repeatedly stated that they are avoiding that because they don't want to split the queues further. And I think the same thing would apply for a ranked mode as well. If you have Ranked Arena and Casual Arena, the queue is split. You will have worse matchmaking in the casual mode, and you will have to have enough players for the ranked version to even get decent matchmaking. Now, this is an issue that could technically be somewhat resolved by enabling crossplay for Ranked Arena, but that's a whole different kind of worms because a lot of players simply do not want crossplay in Ranked. But Ranked Arena existed at some point, so what was it like and why was it removed? For this, I had to go back in time a little bit, and that's where I found this Rainday video, as well as some other information that I already knew about from other sources, and that gives us a pretty good idea of what happened in that mode. So, first of all, that was at a time when you would still have qualifiers matches, and most people would play 10 qualifiers of Arena, get their ranking, and then not touch the mode anymore. That led to players playing at the start of splits or seasons, and then basically you being unable to even find matches for the mode. That was the initial struggle. Keep in mind that at the time the player base was, relatively speaking, a lot smaller than it is now. In addition to that, there was apparently also a bug at the time that matched people based on their casual conquest rating instead of their ranked arena rating, so the matches ended up being unfair, but that's just a minor glitch that could have been resolved easily. The biggest problem that the ranked mode had was something different though, and that's something that has been repeated many times by many people, and I think there was even some competitive tournament which took this to the extreme. Unfortunately, I was unable to find footage of that. What happened in Ranked Arena is that people figured out how to play the game most efficiently, as it is in every ranked mode. And the most efficient way to play Arena is to stay in your base, get guards that can clear the minions from the base, and do that until the end of the game. So you'd have teams literally sitting in their own base and then trying to clear from there and maybe potentially even get kills. It would be worse now because you have guards like Sylvanas that can do that very well too. Even the matches that were not played exactly like that were played extremely passive with a heavy focus on farming the minions, because those were the easy, reliable tickets, and then only at the very end of the game people would start fighting over the last points basically by trying to get kills. If you didn't play this hyper defensive playstyle, you automatically put yourself at a much higher risk of losing the game, so basically no one did it. This, by the way, would still mostly apply today, only that people really just don't care. There's not that much on the line in casual arenas, so people don't do that playstyle, fortunately. But in his video, Rainday also brought up two other arguments that I wanted to address here. One was him asking if non-conquest players are just as valuable as conquest players, because if they are, they should get their own ranked mode. I'd argue here that this has nothing to do with value. I think HiRez very much values their casual arena players, and I think they are trying, or at least think they are doing them a favor by not giving them a ranked mode because of all the issues that I described beforehand. The second argument was one that I found a lot more compelling, and that is that Arena is a very marketable mode. It's a mode that I think works especially well on consoles when people just hop into Smite, maybe see it as a free-to-play game on the store and don't really want to bother learning all the specifics of Conquest. And in that case, there's no better place to be than Arena. It's a relatively simple mode, all things considered. And I do think that HiRez would benefit from marketing to that player base. But I don't think that player base is the same player base that is interested in a ranked mode, because they would probably not even care about that level of depth to try it on a competitive level, because they just want something casual, quick and fun. I also think that if, hypothetically speaking, there was ever a phone version of Smite, which I doubt there will be because of the restrictions of Unreal Engine 3 and everything, but if there was, I think Arena would be a fantastic mode for that, because the rounds are shorter and it's simpler again. But unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in right now. If an Arena ranked mode was to be introduced, it would also be a big question on what the team size would be. Would people only be allowed to solo queue, duo queue, or even bigger teams than that, trio queue or a penta queue? Depending on that, the outcome of the matchmaking and the feeling of Arena could be completely different. And I imagine that solo queuing Arena would not be particularly fun. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people play Arena casually as well, because they can just go in there with a full team and they can just goof around. I mean, look at Brutal McLeany Time, for example. They do that all the time. I also think it's worth understanding that the stability of Arena is not necessarily a given. With the relatively small player base we have in Australia, I actually know from experience that if it comes down to the core modes, Arena would be the first one to go. Not because I don't like it or something, but because you actually cannot queue it in Australia most of the time. The modes that you can queue are Joust, because you just need less players for that, and an easy one for 3 friends as well. Or you play Conquest, because that's where everyone who has like at least a little bit of a competitive mindset is. And that leads to insufficient players for the Arena queue at most times, which is very sad in my opinion, but that might happen in some regions at least if you introduce a ranked Arena queue, and again, on a larger scale, it could just hurt Arena as a mode in general. What I think is important to understand that is the general goal of a ranked mode is often to bring you towards the competitive level, and then Smite Conquest offers that, and the other ranked modes don't really hold up to the same degree because they don't get you there. I think it's one of the main reasons why Joust ranked specifically is suffering so much. 1v1 has its niche among people that just really want to play 1v1s, but again, Joust ranked is something that already competes with casual Joust, and that seems to not lead to any big wins for ranked in that regard if you look at the statistics. I think that Arena as a mode is just casual by design. It is made with very low complexity, very easy to grasp, not all too much nuance to it, and that's completely fine. That's what it's for. You turn your brain off and you play Arena, and it's fun. But it goes somewhat against the entire concept of a ranked mode with a high competitive level, where every match is high intensity, high stakes, and everyone is trying to play their absolute best. I don't know about you, but if I see a sweaty Arena team with an Ares and Odin, a Hell and a Zeus for example, all at least 2 stars and on the same party, I typically don't expect that match to be particularly fun. Sure, it's still satisfying to beat a team like that, but it's typically not something that I enjoy when playing Arena specifically. So what does HiRez say about this? Somebody asked a while ago, Arena, can we get a ranked Arena please? HiRez Ajax responded with, no. And keep in mind, this is HiRez Ajax, who also enjoys ranked Joust a lot, so he's not exactly someone who is not open to at least the idea of other ranked modes outside of Conquest. I think the biggest issue with a ranked Arena mode is unless it's 5v5 pre-made, it wouldn't even be particularly competitive because of the nature of solo queuing and ranked. I would suggest, if you're someone who is really interested in high stakes, high level Arena games, make customs. Find people who want to play those types of Arena games and make customs, play against each other, make tournaments. There's various websites for that at this point which you can use to set up a tournament. Maybe even do it without a prize just for the fun of it. Then it's not high stakes anymore, but at least you'll have people that are actually motivated to play the mode that way. And I am sure that at least in NA or maybe EU as well, there would be sufficient other players that would join a tournament like that and would be interested in that. And if you make that with full pre-made teams, that is more competitive than any ranked Arena game could ever be. In fact, if you're among the people really interested in that, maybe have a look down in the comments. Maybe there's someone else who would like to do something like that. Maybe someone is organizing something on Reddit. Or maybe you'll be the first one to do it. But it's not something that is impossible to do. Arena customs are easy enough to set up after all, and I don't think it's worth trying to wait for HiRez to do something that is very unlikely to ever happen when you yourself could technically make a better version of it if you get a few people together. And that's it for today. If you want to see more Smite videos, feel free to hit the sub button and maybe the bell so you get notified of any upcoming Smite stuff. And other than that, I hope to see you for the next one soon. ZiSotto, out.